Crystal and Dre. This
All right.
has been the Dre and Crystal show. This series.
Right.
All right. Okay, so thank you everybody for those who have turned on your cameras. We appreciate it. We hope that you had a great Thursday. Listen, tomorrow's Friday. You know what that means? That means no more school until Monday. Oh, all right, so hang in there. You got one more day. It's been a very busy week for all of us. Chef Dre he's actually traveling right now. Um, we're all doing a lot of stuff today or this week. It's been a very busy week. So, but glad to see you guys back. Listen, I was about to send you a message. I'm still gonna do it just because I already wrote it. But we are halfway through this series. That's J-Ra. We are halfway through the series. That means you are halfway done with this boot camp. So give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, you all are doing a fantastic, phenomenal job, and we are excited. Um, okay, sorry, I'm reading a message from one of our students. Okay, not a problem. Um, we're excited to have you on tonight. We're going to be talking about restaurant operations with Chef Dre, and who better, right? He is this is his field of expertise. He's got many fields of expertise, but this one right here is near and dear to his heart. Something that he loves. So it's not really considered work for him. And you know what they say: when you love what you do, it's not considered work, right? So get your pens, your papers. One thing I did want to ask you guys, and I don't know if it's been emailed, but did you all receive the workbook for hospitality and travel? Did you guys have you guys been working in your workbook? So the same way with the business and entrepreneurship, have you guys received the workbook? No? I'm seeing the nodding of the heads here. All right, so we got to get you your workbooks because that's important, right? You could be taking notes in there and it's also fillable. Um, so we want to make sure you guys have that information or the notebooks readily available. You can read it at your leisure. And most importantly, you can take notes as we go along in the classes. That being said, Chef, you ready? I'm just trying to stall with time
I'm
here.
sorry, I have something to tell. So I went to the school college fair and I told Walnut Hill College about the S.O.A.R program.
Uh-huh.
Walnut Hill College is the actually college that has hotel management, culinary
Oh,
arts, pastry arts, restaurant management, and
very
they
nice.
wanted you to like connect them if you want to do a tour.
Wow, look at you, Nadia.
Yeah, they
Being
gave
a
me
true SOAR
their.
ambassador. I love it. Thank you so much. If you could send a screenshot and send that through the group chat, we'd appreciate that. I'll certainly,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes, I
we'll
will.
certainly reach out. Thank you. We appreciate that. And I hope, Nadia, are you in New Jersey or are you?
I'm in New
I
Jersey.
thought
Yeah.
so. I think you're in Linden, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was actually supposed to go to your school for your college and career fair. I was supposed to be there, but I ended up having my
Oh,
council meeting that night, so I couldn't attend. But I'm normally there, so you'll see me in the spring.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
See you.
All right, Chef, it's all on you, sir.
Outstanding. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. What's going on, scholars? I hope everybody is having a fantastic week. It is terrific Thursday, and we're going to get into this restaurant operations. Chef Baker told me to send her deepest apologies for this event. You know, sometimes as a chef and as other people in the culinary industry, um, things things are always changing and adapting, and sometimes you have to adapt to it. Like myself, I'm actually supposed to have been on the road, going somewhere, but then my teacher called me and said she's stuck at the Texas State Fair with a class full of high school students actually selling, food and doing food with one of the vendors. So if you know anything about the Texas State Fair, it's the biggest one in the country, and there's at least 100 to 200,000 people a day that comes through there, and so it's nonstop. There isn't a break period for it. Definitely not, long enough for the class. So I will be handling restaurant operations and careers today. So you guys have already had traveling tourism, traveling tourism with Rosie. You've had, hospitality and travel so far, the basics of it, hotel and lodging. Next, you're going to get into your cooking classes. So I want to make sure that I preference that because you'll be getting an email with a list of ingredients. So you will need your kitchen. Okay. It's going to be extremely difficult to do this without your kitchen. Okay. You'll get a list of the ingredients, equipment, and things like that to do it. Chef David Roberson will be handling the culinary class next week. And then Chef Michelle will be handling baking next Thursday. Okay. So be prepared to get the list. Very simple items. Most of the stuff your parents probably already have in the pantry, but if they don't, no problem. Very inexpensive list of stuff to do. Real simple. And it's going to help cap off what we've talked about the last couple of classes about your end of course requirements. So the end of course requirements, you should already have them in your email. If not, they're also in Google Classroom, and we'll be sending it in the chat as well. Your end of course is one of two things. You got a choice between creating a complete travel itinerary, much like the one that you did in Professor Rosie's class that you did in like less than 10 minutes planning one trip, where each of you are going to plan your own trip from top to bottom with everything that encompasses in the travel. That's one of your end of course, and then you're going to present that. And then the other end of course is you're going to come up with an Instagram type video with a recipe that you create, right? Now you can also use a recipe that's already existing, but you do have to meet all the requirements that you see in the ELC. It's got to have the ingredients, it's got to have the directions. The video needs to be less than a minute. So this does take a little bit of editing in doing it. When you're making the Instagram, TikTok type video. Less than a minute, quick reel explaining, your process, what it is, et cetera, and you're going to present that video in front of the class, right? It's not a live presentation. It is a recorded IG video. I want to make that clear to everybody, okay? Recorded IG video that you will explain and then play the video, okay? If you have any questions, make sure you put it in the chat. Send it to myself, Miss C, and we'll definitely get an answer. But make sure you know that you do got to submit the recipe and the ingredients and everything else, in a doc form. But it is a video, okay? Not a live. It is a video. I'm gonna make sure that I stress that, okay? But with that being said, with tonight's class, we're going to be talking about restaurant operations and careers. Where do we go from here? So, with everything that you grasped so far about the restaurant industry and the hospitality industry, what do you think some of the careers in the restaurant industry are?
Being a
Now, remember, y'all know with me. There we go. Ashley, you're going to volunteer, voluntold. Y'all know my rule. Let's go.
Manager,
What'd you say? Manager? Yep.
chef,
Chef. Thank you.
Front
Chef's your
desk,
third on the list. I'm a whole chef. Yes, good one, good one. What else?
cleaning service,
Yes. What else?
Isn't there like a chef like assistant? Like I don't know.
Yes, they're called sous chefs.
Okay.
Yep, chef
I don't
assistant.
know. I don't know what they're called, but the people that like clean the dishes and stuff.
Dishwasher.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a dishwasher. Or as my homeboy used to call when we were younger, an aquatic engineer, to make his position sound, extra special because he deals with chemicals and machines. He was an aquatic engineer, supposed to a dishwasher. Excellent. And then there's some other careers out there that I'll get into, briefly later. But when you think about, chef scientists, those are restaurant operation careers. There's an actual person that crafts the recipes for McDonald's. There's an actual chef that crafts and come up with the different burgers and ideas and bacons and stuff like that that never has worked inside of McDonald's. Well, they may have worked in the McDonald's, but the two that I know didn't work in McDonald's before. They went to school for culinary and got into food science and then started working for McDonald's. So with that, we're going to move forward. All right. I know most of you already from being in these classes. So we're going to skip the hello, I am. That's usually for the new teacher to actually learn you, know your names and know your backgrounds and things like that. But you guys have seen me for 3 classes now, and I know most of most of your background, your things you want to do. So today we're going to talk about welcome to the industry opportunities, professional expectations, and beginning your career in the restaurant industry. Now, the restaurant industry is different from the travel and tourism industry, and it is different than the hotel and lodging industry, but they all fall under hospitality and service. Okay? So I'll make sure that everybody understands that. These are different sectors of the same umbrella of business. Okay? Put a thumb up in the chat if that makes sense. If it doesn't, be sure to ask questions, okay? Boom, 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 boom. All right, so here's your icebreaker question. Everybody ready? Remember, volunteer. What is your favorite dine-in restaurant to eat at and why?
That's just the thing she talks to me. And I don't take offense to
Chili's.
you
For the
Chili's.
mozzarella sticks.
You like Chili's mozzarella sticks? I love it. I love it. Not Chili's mozzarella sticks. I love it.
Longhorn.
Love it.
I love their steaks.
Longhorn because you love their steaks. Excellent.
Ugly dumpling.
Ugly dumpling?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why do you like ugly dumpling?
Because they have soup dumplings.
Ooh, I do like a good soup dumpling, Mom. I feel you.
Can it be
who is
like fast food place too that you can eat in?
It's a
No.
yeah, if it's your favorite.
I want to say 2, so I could say Noche de Colombia because it's Colombian food and I really like Colombian food. There's also Don Julio, which is Dominican food, and then there's Chipotle.
All right, so of those
So they're like
3, if you had to rank them, who's 1, 2, and 3?
Chipotle would be 1, Don Julio would be 2, and Noche de Colombia would be 3, only because I don't go as much.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm a Chipotle fan too, so don't even worry about it. It's great. Who was that? Karen? Saltgrass. Saltgrass. You know what? I'm gonna let you have Saltgrass. You go there for your birthday, and the food is well made for you. Saltgrass. So anybody else?
I think my favorite would be like Cheesecake Factory because I just love cheesecake. And that's the only place I can get like multiple different flavors of cheesecake.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else? Anybody else?
My favorite is called like Mark Twain Diner. It's just because like the food is really good, the servers are really nice, and yeah, they just have really good service there.
Mark Twain Diner. Okay. Okay. Olive Garden. Who is that? Is that you, Rosie? Put in Olive Garden? El Barco.
Yes.
Oh, El Barco for seafood. Excellent. 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 Anybody else?
I would say for me, Mi Cocina. Yeah. I like it. It's decent.
And why do you like Mi Cocina?
I like the rice and the meat personally. I always get it. I like it.
Excellent. So what's great about all those is that everything that you guys named are restaurants, excuse me, that you love to go to, that you love to be a part of, that you love to dine and have in. And everybody talks about the food. That makes the memory of the restaurant an incredible experience, right? I can't say that, that I have a favorite, restaurant to dine in. I know people say that's weird with you being the chef, but there's so many different levels with me because I'm always looking at everything, right? Mine from decor to service to food to what it looks like on the outside. So I have a different concept of it. I can't necessarily say that there's one particular that goes above and beyond in restaurants, but I'll have an answer for you by the end of by the end of class today. All right. So next part of the agenda, welcome to the industry. So there are two segments that make up the restaurant and food service industry. Type of business that make up the hospitality and tourism industry as well. And then we're going to talk about how restaurants came to be. So with restaurant and food service, you have to understand that those are two separate things, or two separate entities when you think about it in a very basic sense. The food service industry is encompassing everything, including food manufacturing as well. So we're not just talking about restaurants. When you're talking about food service industry, you're talking about servicing of food. So that's, like a company like Cisco is a food service organization that delivers food to restaurants, right? Does this make sense? So when you think about the two segments of restaurant and food service, that's how you kind of segment them separately, right? Because the restaurant takes what's already been produced, fabricated, put together, broken down, prepared for consumption, and turns it into these incredible mouth-watering dishes that they bring to your table, pick up to your drive-through, etc. And then when you think about the food service portion of it, it's all the other services that are involved in it. When people are bringing the truck over to give you, your parcels, your fresh fruit, your fresh vegetables, things of that nature. So they're one together in unit, but they're two separate segments. And then, you have hospitality and the tourism industry, which has the same thing. That's why we teach about hotels and lodging. And then Professor Rosen comes in and talks about tourism industry because they're different business models that operate similarly, right? So they're one and the same and different. I think what did they say? There was an old saying. It's like half a dozen in one hand and six in the other, right? You remember that, Rosie? I see Morgan. I'm pretty sure you remember that. Well, half a dozen in one hand and six in the other. It's both six. It's both half a dozen, right? It's just that they have different functions and operate differently, when you say it. And now we're going to watch a little video that I believe the next one should be the video about how restaurants came to be. So here are some of the commercial versus non-commercial food service and restaurant industry entities so that you can really understand how they're separated. So 20% of the food service and restaurant industry are comprised of non-commercial. So non-commercial is serving food as support, right? So when I was telling you the difference between restaurants and food service, that's how you break it down. So the non-commercial, when you think of things like schools and universities for the most part aren't profit-generating entities, right? They are there to service the people, right? For the most part, there's some schools out there that are very profit driven, but for the most part, they aren't. So they serve food as a support. Students that are coming there for education, students that are coming there for, higher level of learning, different degrees, food is supported there. Same thing with healthcare facilities, business and industry, clubs, and government. Those are all things that serve food as support. Like with the government, when you think about them giving out free food, or when you think about your food pantries, right? These are all things that are non-commercial that serve food as a support. When you go to the commercial side, it's food as its sole purpose. Okay? So understand the difference. One is for support, right? The school and the university, healthcare facilities, the businesses, clubs, and governments are already operating, right? And so the food is a support system that come in to help facilitate nutritional values and food and everything else for them. The commercial side of it is basically sold for profit. That's how I always, non-commercial is like having a nonprofit, and commercial is like having a for-profit, even though both can be very profitable in this business model. So 80% of the restaurants, facilities, and things that you see out there are commercial, much like my catering business. I have a catering business in North Dallas that I use, that I've switched now to private catering as opposed to corporate catering. And in that, we are considered a commercial business because we buy from most of the non-commercials. We buy from the most of the wholesalers, and we turn that into the food that is its sole purposes. It's the same thing as doing it in retail stores when you go buy, I don't know, a sandwich from 7-Eleven, or when you go to a sporting event, right? I enjoy watching soccer, and I enjoy going to football games. And most of the time when I go there, I have something from the concession stand, right? These are all things that are serving food as a sole purpose in helping. And one big thing is cruise ships. I'm a huge cruise ship fan, and I would be excited to have a student plan a trip with a cruise. Because if correct me if I'm wrong, Rosie, and Crystal, I don't think we've ever had a EOC where somebody did a travel itinerary that included a cruise. So I am excited, just putting that bug out there for you guys to see if anybody that's going to decide to plan a trip. I'd love to see them plan a cruise, and not a cruise in the city where you already have a cruise port. All right, go to another city that you actually got to fly to, because I need those airport codes, because it's listed in the outline for the end of course. Okay, it's part of it. But I'd love for somebody to plan a cruise, because there's a lot of great cruises that out there that you can do. So, does anybody have any questions about this, the non-commercial versus the commercial side
Yeah, so it's just.
of the food service and restaurant industry? Excellent. Well, y'all gonna make this class too simple tonight. So, when you think about the travel and tourism industry, I'm gonna cover this one lightly because you've already had an opportunity to hear about this with Rosie and hotel in the intro. So with hospitality, it's that the services that people use and receive while they're away from home. I think Rosie did an incredible job of doing that. One of them is food service, restaurants, retail establishments, lodging, hotel, motels, and resorts, which was already reserved. One that we didn't talk about was event management. So now event management in travel and tourism is one of those niche industries that a lot of people don't think about, but it's very critical. So for instance, event management would be the Rutgers University, right? They host our annual S.O.A.R gala every year so far for the last 4 or 5 years, right? So they have to go through event management and planning in-house to be able to host us, to make sure that we have the right sound system and clean carpets and enough tables for food and enough tables for people, coat racks, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is actually a part of the hospitality industry too, because that includes the stadiums, that includes the convention centers, that includes trade shows. When you go to any kind of sporting event, that is a tourism event. Sports are a luxury. So it is not, they call it a tourism, event management because of the fact that it's not a necessity. And there's usually more people that's not from the city that come to a lot of the games, people that fly in, but that's all a part of things like event management with stadiums, convention centers, trade shows, et cetera, right? Services that you receive while you're away from home. So based on these that you see, right? I'm gonna ask you a quick question. I have a question mark over here that says other. So we've got restaurants and retail, we've got lodging, hotel, motels, and resorts. We've got event management. What do you think some of the ones that fall under other are in the travel and tourism industry that's not named?
It's just that this person is telling you that, and sometimes they are not,
Any guesses?
Maybe
and I'm okay with that.
transportation, like airplane and like taxis.
Transportation is one that is part of the tourism industry. Good. What else do we have?
Can I say like customer service?
Well, customer service is involved in all of it, technically. So we're talking about, specific things like restaurants, retail, like just said, travel with airplanes, resorts, event management. What do you think that's something else that might be a part of the tourism industry that's an other?
Could I
Maybe
say like tour guide?
accommodation.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I heard tour guide. That's a good one. Setting up tours. Now that sometimes can fall under the lodging or fall under the lodging or event management, but that is something separate to send people on a tour. That's what they call excursions, right? You're already planning to go to a certain hotel or a resort or even on a cruise ship, and then you take an excursion, which is an extension of what you're already doing. So that's a good one. What else did I hear? Somebody else said something.
Maybe like accommodation.
Now, accommodations are like the hotel, motels, and resorts. Does that make sense? Or an Airbnb or a VRBO or a vacation property. But I like the way you're thinking, though. Definitely like the way you're thinking. You guys did well. I'm just getting some critical thinking going. All right. All right. So now we're going to hop into a brief video. Let me make sure my sound is shared before I go into this. So this video that you're about to watch now is about the history of restaurants. So can everybody see my screen? I know I started sharing again.
See, it say break time right now.
Does it still say break time?
Nah, it say a history of restaurants.
Okay, so I think you just wanted to take a break because you saw it flash on the screen. Just be honest. No, Joe, we good?
Nah, we good, but I definitely did see it though. I caught my eye.
I love it. I love it. I like those ones paying attention. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Everybody can still see my screen?
Yes.
What do you see on the screen? Do you see YouTube or do you
You
still
see
see
for
my
reals? Is it for reals?
Okay, bet. Yeah, for reals.
So, I'm sure most everyone has eaten at a restaurant before. Of course, the concept of buying prepared food isn't entirely new. The idea of selling food for profit existed even during the earliest of civilizations. It's really no coincidence that the growth of restaurants throughout history correlates closely with the growth of cities. The need for public eateries was firmly established as far back as the Roman Empire and even ancient China, when peasants and farmers brought their livestock and other goods to urban markets. Often they traveled for several days at a time and needed a place to eat and rest. This brought about the earliest form of restaurants, the roadside inn. Usually located in the middle of the countryside, inns served meals at a common table to travelers. There were no menus or even options from which to choose. Every night you got what you got, and that was it.
It doesn't matter what you think!
Within city walls, where living conditions were cramped and many people did not have the means to cook their own meals, vendors sold food from small carts or street kitchens, which is still a popular form in many parts of the world. Think of the hot dog stand in New York City, like the one that Spider-Man likes to frequent. The meals they sold were usually pre-cooked and affordable, a forerunner to the modern fast food industry. These early inns and taverns were more than just a place to eat, however. They served an important social function by bringing people of different backgrounds together. Through the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, taverns and inns continued to be a main place to buy a prepared meal in Europe. In Spain, these establishments were called bodegas, which served small savory Spanish dishes called tapas. In England, foods such as sausage and shepherd's pie were popular, while in France, stews and soups were almost always offered. All of these early restaurants had one thing in common, that they served simple foods commonly found in peasant and merchant homes. Following Columbus's voyage to the Americas in 1492, global trade increased, introducing new foods to Europe. Coffee, tea, and chocolate were soon being served in public houses alongside beer, ale, and wine. By the 17th century, while full meals were still typically eaten at home, upper and upper middle class folks would sometimes hire a caterer or take their meals to a private salon of a public house. rather than eat in the main dining room. In France, throughout the Middle Ages, guilds had monopolies on many aspects of prepared food. For example, charcuterie and cuit, meaning cooked, were the guild who prepared cooked meats for sale. If you did not belong to that particular guild, it was illegal to sell cooked meat in any form.
All right, you. So, may I ask you guys a few questions from the first 3 minutes of the class, all right? So, based on what you heard so far, what on this video, what definition did they give for a street kitchen? Nadia, what do you think street kitchen means? Hello? Anybody
Yes. Oh, sorry, I wasn't muted.
there? So, what is a street kitchen?
What did you say? The street kitchen?
Yes, what is a street kitchen?
So do you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Because somebody just called. Sorry. The street kitchen is the kitchen that were provided on the street.
You know what? That is the smartest answer that you could give.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. What kind of food did they serve?
They served food for the people who traveled.
So street, when you hear the term
That was
street food,
traditional foods.
yes. So when you hear the food, when you hear the term like street food, when you go travel, basically it's the common food of the land. Okay. And back then they called them street kitchens. Now they just call it street food because most of the time you cook it in a regular kitchen and then go for it. All right, appreciate you, Nadia. So when it came to taverns and bodegas, what social function did it provide?
It provided like people from different cultures to be able to sit down in one place and be able to talk and hang out.
Excellent. Excellent. That's exactly what it did. That was an important function. And for all my Spanish speakers and people with the Spanish background, you know, bodegas in New York are monumental. Monumental. Right? So if anybody, you know, lives in the NYC or even in the Jersey area, I mean, going to a bodega could be a grocery store. It's got everything in it. I love when I travel on the East Coast and go to a bodega because I can walk in and, you know, get a sandwich and pick me up some Clorox wipes all at the same time. It's absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. All right, last question. What was a common theme with early restaurants? They literally just gave you the answer before I paused it. What was the common theme with early restaurants?
Is it the stuff about like the cooked meat, the cuit, or whatever, or no?
Yes, but you gotta elaborate a little bit more because cooked meat
Like
kind
if
of
you
was
wasn't a
illegal
part,
during
like
that
if you
time.
wasn't a
So,
part of them, then you wasn't allowed to like cook the food.
okay, that's close.
If
That
you
was
were
a common
not
thing for
upper
restaurants back
middle
then.
class, you couldn't eat in restaurant.
Say that one more time, Nadia.
If you were not in the upper class, you couldn't eat in a restaurant.
That was a common theme for early restaurants as well too. You couldn't have cooked meat, and you couldn't even eat in the restaurant because you weren't the elite. You weren't rich. And then the other common theme was they would always serve food that was lowly, or you know, at a minimum. You know, you didn't get none of the good cuts, and definitely got no cooked meat because it was outlawed. So, all right, good job, y'all. Good job. All right, we're gonna continue the video.
And so, relating to this, there is an oft-repeated historical anecdote crediting the first restaurant in Paris to a man named Boulanger, who in 1765 went up against the powerful medieval catering guilds. The story goes that Boulanger added cooked lamb to a stew he sold in his shop near the Louvre, The Caterers Guild sued him, but Boulanger won the case. Over the next 20 years leading up to the French Revolution, more shops like Boulanger's began operating in Paris. When Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI went to the guillotine, the old ways of French society went with them. The guilds were swept away, and many chefs employed in aristocratic and royal households found themselves unemployed. Many of these displaced workers opened up dining businesses in Paris, bringing with them a new way of dining. It has long been accepted that the first establishments that we would consider restaurants originated in Paris in the mid-18th century. The word restaurant is a French word that originally referred to a type of restorative meat broth or bouillon, created by steaming various types of meat. Such a broth was offered to those who might be too weak to eat a full meal. The institutions in which these restaurants were served had costly and luxurious interiors and appealed to a wealthy clientele. They were a pretty far cry from the unsavory taverns and inns that typically provided food to travelers. Concepts such as seating patrons at their own tables, providing dining at unspecified hours, and a menu from which diners could choose their own dishes came out of these institutions and became an established part of restaurant service. Though public houses continued to exist, the rise of fine dining in France would soon spread throughout Europe and into the New World. One should know that public gatherings over food and drink have long been a part of human society, as they offer a place for people to come together for a meal and to socialize with others. And this isn't the end of the restaurant story though. Watch out for part 2 of this video coming soon, where we'll discuss the modernization of restaurants in Europe, Asia, and the United States. So guys, here's a question for you. What are some of your favorite memories from eating at a restaurant?
Excellent, excellent. All right. So, with that being said, it is now 7:14. We've had some great time learning about the basis of the restaurant industry. We're going to get into more in depth here in just a moment. So it's now 7:15. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 7:25. All right. Everybody good? Give me a thumbs up. Put a one in the chat if we're good. Come back at 7:25. Fantastic. Outstanding. Hey, scholars. 7:25, 7:25. Is everybody back? Cameras on. Appreciate you, Nadia, Noah, Ashley, Karen, Ying Ying, Leo. Let's see. Janelle, we got majority of everybody back. Jayla, Julian, that boy Julian. All right. So going back into the second half of this has some career opportunities that are excellent, when you're starting off in, especially in the restaurant industry, right? One of the great things, me in this slideshow. Nope, going the wrong way. Whoa. One of the great things that I love about especially the restaurant industry, even if you don't know much about the industry, you can definitely get in an entry-level position and really learn a lot of great things. Like, for instance, if you're not in the hospitality industry, right, even in the entry level, you'll learn some key things. Like, if you read my shirt, has anybody ever heard anybody say this to them? Just in passing or anything like that? Yeah, you can come off mute and answer.
Yeah.
So this is a very popular term that you use in the kitchen. Can anybody take a guess of what it means when you say this in the kitchen?
It's like you're acknowledging, like if someone says something, you're acknowledging that like you heard them, and you're like if they tell you just when you acknowledging that you heard them and that you're gonna do it.
Fantastic. That is confirmation that you received whatever the chef, sous chef, dishwasher, whatever they said. If the dishwasher says, hey, bring me back all your dishes, you respond with heard, because it lets them know and confirm that you heard them. Because if they don't hear it, we're going to keep asking. Right. And so those are things that you can learn at an entry level with little to no experience. And that's host busters, assistant cook, server, expediters, dishwashers. We all learn these traits, and you will catch yourself doing it. I mean, I do it now when I'm with people. Somebody will say something, and instead of confirming, be like, yeah, I got what you said, or appreciate you. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I'll be like, heard. And some people look at me like, what heard? What are you saying? What does that mean? And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's an industry term that means I acknowledge. I got to give them a full definition, right? Heard is the past tense of hearing, right? But I always have to give them a full definition. Like, yeah, that's just me acknowledging what you said for what it was and being able to execute whatever you're doing. So some of those entry level positions that have no experience required is a great way to build up your resume. So I know many of you have different things you want to do. We got food scientists in here. We've got people that's designing clothes. We have pharmacists in here. Um, if you want to get some experience, especially when it deals with customer service, the restaurant industry is one of the best industries that you can go in to get entry level, baseline. You can have almost no background in the industry and be able to have an opportunity to learn a lot and build up your resume. Okay. So keep that in mind. And there's some other career opportunities. Does anybody know what FOH means? You should by now between all these classes, but does anybody know what FOH means? Volunteer, voluntold, anybody? Union, what do you think FOH means?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
What do you think the term FOH means as
Front
far as the
desk,
restaurant industry is concerned? Say
front desk,
again?
front desk.
Front desk? Close.
Or like
Close.
front manager or something?
Front office?
No.
House.
Front office. What else? Give me some more guesses.
Front house.
Front what?
I might be wrong then. Never mind.
I couldn't hear you, Joey. What did you say?
Oh,
You
say
said
it,
front
Joey.
what?
Say it.
House.
Front of the house. Now, Joey, do you know what front of the house means?
Like front of the kitchen. Like not front of the kitchen, but like front of the restaurant or building.
Well, that both of those are right. Front of the restaurant, in front of the building. So FOH means front of the house. Those are all the things that deal with the wait staff, bussers, general managers, bartenders. Those are all the ones that are on the outside of the kitchen, going all the way out to the patio, right? So, front of the house manager, most of the time, are your general managers, your assistant general managers, your bar managers. Those are the ones that don't facilitate what goes on in the kitchen, right? And B of H is back of the house, right? So the back of the house is where the kitchen is. That's where the executive chef is the general manager back there in the kitchen, and everybody falls in line under there. So those are some, two great places you could start. It does require additional skill to get into it, and training required to be a front of the house or a back of the house manager. But those are some of the ones that are some additional career opportunities that you could think about. I know for myself with my journey, I started off baking bread. So the first thing that I did was I was a baker. I was a baker for a sandwich shop in my hometown in St. Matthews Mall. I baked fresh bread for all people. I used to come in after school and would bake bread from 4 to about 11 o'clock, and that bread would be proofed and then be prepared to be sold for the very next day. That was something that, I mean, it took a little bit more skills, but it was great. It was entry level. From there, I went to the University of Houston, and my first job while I was on campus, I was an aquatic engineer. I was a high-level dishwasher. I worked at the George R. Brown Convention Center, and I got an opportunity to wash dishes for 5 to 10,000 people a night. I mean, it was incredible. I would come in at 4 p.m. and I probably wouldn't go home till about 4 a.m. We had the machines that we had back there were what we would call 12-ton. So basically, it was as long as a Buick. I mean, the machines were absolutely massive, and they had these chlorine tabs you'd have to put in to keep the sanitizer going. But you'd have to spray every dish. So if you've ever been in a kitchen, three compartment sink is wash, rinse, and sanitize. And then there's one little thing that they don't say much about. There's a spray area where you spray off all the excess food. Then you wash the dish, then you rinse the dish, then you sanitize it. And so the machine did the wash and the rinse part, but you still had to get all the pre-food. We call it pre-wash in the kitchen, and pre-bus is another term where they would pick up the dishes and things like that from the table before to get back to the dishwasher to do it. So those are some of the meshes between front and back of the house. And that was my first experience. If you can imagine washing dishes for 5 to 10,000 people, and it's like a 4-course meal, it was yeah, it was pretty grueling. I had a nice, beautiful leather apron that covered pretty much my entire, neck down to the bottom. Had these galoshes I used to have to wear because I mean we really got it in there, and you can only imagine the amount of food we wasted. But that's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another day. Another day. But those are also some of the management positions you can go into as a career opportunity in the restaurant industry. All right. So when you think about entrepreneurship and chefs and private chefs, uh, before I continue, does anybody have any questions about the entry-level positions in a restaurant and the more advanced positions that takes time with some knowledge and skill? Any questions? Put a thumbs up in the chat if it all made sense. I think I'm gonna start recording in Julian specifically, because I mean that brother travels and he lives in my city. He knows how Dallas is. You gotta leave early to be on time just to be late. And he understands exactly what I mean.
I'm sorry. It's just today I'm at my friend's house and like we're doing a sleepover. I'm just outside so I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Julian, I love watching you travel in the background, brother. I told you to give me a power aid and you probably bought it. I'm gonna come by and pick it up later. Don't even worry about it. So next we're gonna talk about roles of an entrepreneur and chef. So everybody from the business classes so far understand and know what a entrepreneur does. Starts or runs a business, take financial risks to do so, seek out opportunities to offer guest options. What does that look like for a chef? A lot of entrepreneur roles are things like catering, opening up their own restaurant, franchising a restaurant sometimes. But one of the hottest commodities, which is what I currently do in addition to the multiple other things I do, is private chef work. And private chef work is extremely lucrative because you could have one major client that you cook for the entire year and make 6 figures just cooking pre-made meals for their family. One of the things that I have a cousin of mine. He's also Chef Last Game Justin down in Houston. He caters to people that are throwing parties of less than 10, and mostly breakfast and brunches. And they charge an incredible amount to come by and cook for them. And in their private chef life, he gets to travel. People, I mean, because I've seen him go to Turks and Caicos. I've seen him go to Hawaii. I've seen him be in some of the places in the States, and he get an opportunity to travel, see the world, and do a craft that he loves. Right? Chefs are also dedicated to the quality and taste and appearance of food, and it's really important, especially in the private chef arena, because most private chefs are cooking for people that would be considered financially elite. Okay. So we're talking about basketball players, we're talking about football players, and we're talking about movie stars. There's a why can't I think of that chef's name? You know, Taylor Swift's chef. I know she's rather skinny and don't look like she eats, but she has her own personal chef, right? And the chef gets paid, you know, handsomely to make sure that she has the nutrition that she needs, or at least the food that she wants, you know, for her family. And in that, that is a very entrepreneurial position, right? Because that's something you got to build up. You got to have clientele. You got to have additional people to, you know, sometimes to help you facilitate that. You got to be dedicated, like some of these bullet points or check marks that we have over here. You got to be dedicated to the quality and taste and appearance of the food. You know, you got to respect food for all it's worth. And remember that this is an art form. A lot of people often ask chefs, like, you know, why do you charge so much, or why this is expensive? Or why can't I get this from one chef at this price point and you are so much more higher? I said, well, because it's an art form, you know, and you know, you pay for the level of art that you would like. You would pay for the level of degree of difficulty you would like. You know, pancakes and eggs that had, you know, that are just cracked and cooked, you know, a little bit cheaper than me creating a, you know, an omelet crepe for you. Even though similar components, the same thing, it's a little bit more technical, a little bit more work when you look at it as an art form to make it beautiful. Kind of like the picture you see up there, you know, of that is charred figs and pears with a rosemary and cherry tomato and a not a demi-glace. What is on that? Um, not a demi-glace. I keep saying demi-glace. A fig wine reduction that's on it, right? I mean, very easily I could have just bought. Well, the chef that's in the picture could have bought, you know, a whole peach, a whole set of figs, a tomato, and sat it on the plate. It wouldn't necessarily be art, it'd be private chef. But if you want if you want to have that for, hey, I want that plate for $5, that's what you're gonna get. But if you look at that plate that's in the picture, you know, I mean, that's easily, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 for that plate, because it's the artistry and the work that goes in and in the thought process. So understand that when you become a chef and you're an entrepreneur at the same time, the mesh of the excellence of your art form must also match your profit. Okay. We don't get into business to not make money. I want you guys to always understand that if I don't teach you anything else when it comes to entrepreneurship. You don't go into business not to make money. Okay. You go into business to make an impact in your community, but also to turn a profit. If you are in it for just building the community and having the community help you, then you start a nonprofit like S.O.A.R, right? We do this as a community effort because we love the youth and we love the community and we want to give back. We don't look to profit from this. So when you think about your entrepreneurship journeys or your career journeys, when you go to start a business, think about, do you want to be profitable and help people, or do you want to help people and maintain enough capital to continue to help people? Or do you want to exceed that? Right? You know, so you really got to think about that when you're going into your careers, right? Because you don't start a business to not be profitable. You start a business to be profitable. Does that make sense? I know I've talked quite a bit about entrepreneurship and chefs. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? If all that makes sense, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, I see a one. Okay, I see the ones. All right, I see the thumbs up. I see the thumbs up. All right, let me go back one. All right. So I'm gonna ask you some trick, non-trick questions about the roles of an entrepreneur. Okay. And I'd like to have some volunteers because I don't want to volunteer anybody. All right. So, what is one role of an entrepreneur? Just one.
One wrong?
One roll.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm from Texas. You know what I'm saying? I'm originally from Kentucky. My country city boy accent, sometimes it just what role? Name
A
one role
role
of an
of an
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur. Um, do you mean like a CEO type of role? Is that what you mean?
Based on the slide.
Be a leader, make money.
Be a leader, make money.
Being able to run the
Based on the
business.
slide. Starts and runs a business. Excellent. What's another role based on the slide? Remember, it's not a trick question.
Um,
Takes a financial risk. Sorry.
Excellent. See, I knew you guys could read. What's another role based on the slide
they
of an
seek out
entrepreneur?
opportunities to offer guest options.
Excellent. See, I just wanted to make sure everybody was paying attention. I love the fact that Janelle put in to lead an idea into execution. That's perfect. I mean, we can continue on with the long list, but that's why I told you guys it's a non-trick question, right? Keep it simple. And I don't know, Michaela, I guess you weren't looking at the screen. I was trying to put my arrows like, say this. That's all you got to do. Say that one. You good.
No, I just thought it was like too obvious, and I was like, I didn't
Yeah.
I wanted to try.
Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you don't need to overthink.
Okay.
Excellent. We'll move on to the next slide. All right, so here's some restaurant careers. So more about the careers. Front of the house, back of the house, the managers, restaurant CEOs. So there is I don't know why I can't highlight that. Let me go back. Here's some stats about restaurant careers. Okay. 90% of restaurant managers, supervisors, and chefs started as entry-level employees. So when you think about when you go into a restaurant or you go into a hotel, even when you take Professor Barlow from the hotel management, she's been in her company 25 years. She started off working in the front desk. And after working in the front desk, she became a general manager and working in it. So most of the time, if you start there, you're probably going to be promoted. 80% of restaurant owners started their career at entry level. Many of them will do franchises. I know McDonald's, one of the biggest franchisers in Alabama, an African American man. He started off at 16 years old, flipping burgers for McDonald's. By the time he was, I want to say he was 31, he had 21 McDonald's. And now at 67, he has the most franchise McDonald's anywhere in the South. And he started as an entry level guy, right? I mean, imagine going from flipping burgers and dropping fries to being a multimillionaire that owns, 40 plus McDonald's franchises and other businesses. So you have that opportunity. 63% of adults have worked in the restaurant industry, making it the largest training ground for employees. I know in Texas, we are the largest hospitality employer in the country. Plus, we have more restaurants per capita. We just like to eat in Texas. Everything is big in Texas. Everything. So over 14 million people are employed in the industry, making it one of the largest private sector employers in the nation. Now, restaurant and food service industry revenue is larger than that 90% of the world's economy. So the one thing that I always tell people, they asked me a long time ago, why'd you get into the hospitality, travel, food service industry? I said, well, one, because I enjoy service to others, and two, 100% of people eat. When you think about anybody that you know, whether they sip it through a straw, eat it with a fork, pick it up with their hand, use chopsticks, it doesn't matter. 100% of people eat. They have nourishment. Even the people that are, that doesn't have a place to live, people that, live out in the jungle, you see those stories about, feeding someone who is less fortunate, right? They all eat. So it's an industry that not only has been, that has blown up because of, street kitchens, it's a vast majority of the world's economy, right? $782 billion in annual sales. $782 billion in annual sales. Now, they say on average there's about 8 billion people in the world right now, right? 8 billion people eating $782 billion in sales of food. And that's just food. And I talk about the other industries like cosmetology or clothing lines or automobiles, jeans. We're talking about just food. That's a lot. And it's expected to grow even more than that. I know it says in the 2024, but that's at the end of 2025, a little over 15 million with $1 trillion in sales by the end of 2025. So it is massive. So if you want to get a head start, if you want to get a good beginning for it, for the restaurant industry, man, I'm telling you, it's a great place to start. Great place to start. Let's see. Oh, it's 7:48. All right, so you want to get more stats per state? Everybody take a screenshot of that because my copy and paste is not working today. And we'll put that in stats so you can look at the stats for your particular state. Okay, and we're gonna go here. And then the things that are beyond the restaurant. One of my things that I'm getting into now with my HCI consulting is this one here, facilities and engineering, as a hospitality department. Actually looking at building structures and putting together architecture for the most efficient way to run a restaurant. So that is one of the areas of me being in the hospitality industry for 30 plus years that I have not been exclusively privy to. When I did work in fast food, I did have the opportunity to do some real estate and find locations and properties to build on, but I wasn't necessarily a part of the architectural process and what goes where and how it makes all sense. So these are just some of the other careers that you can go into. That's not necessarily being a chef or being, a hostess or a general manager. Stuff like food science, food critic styles, stylist and photo, culinary research and development. That's a big one. Most major restaurants use culinarian chefs to do the research and development for a particular area to build it. Accounting and finance, book author, human resources. These are all things that are tied to the hospitality and restaurant industry. And one of the ones that probably when I really take time to go back to school and go through it is become a sommelier. And a sommelier is someone that learns about different wines and regions at an extremely elevated level. Okay, we're talking high end. Sommeliers get paid an incredible amount of money to know what region the grape comes from for that particular wine and to understand all the notes, flavor palettes with a blindfold on and smelling it and tasting it. So if you have any aspirations of it, when you become older, I highly recommend that if you like to find the things of life and you have an incredible palate, a sommelier may be some career that's just for you. So, and then I think we're going to end with this one because Missy, if you have the Mentimeter from Rosie's class or Rosie, so we can start it just a tad bit early for it. And the course evaluation, I know I gave you the course evaluation for this class, and hopefully you still have the one from Travel and Tourism. But now I'll make sure I get it to you here just shortly. So professional expectations. So AAA, attire, attitude, and actions. This is something that is critically important that you can use everywhere and anywhere you go. Attire, for one thing, having on the right uniform, having a wonderful pressed, ironed clothing is incredibly important. But professional expectations in any restaurant you go into, any career for that matter, whether you're going to corporate America, attire, attitude, and actions, right? Attire, what you wear. Attitude is how you present yourself. Actions is what you do, right? And most of the time, you judge on your actions. Your appearance could be great, your attitude could be incredible, but if you're doing something that's inappropriate, something that's wrong, especially in the restaurant industry, that is very easily picked up, pointed out, and could be grounds for termination. But we want those professional expectations. All right. So, real quick, if y'all want to take a screenshot of this, if you're my note takers, write this down. Top 10 skills needed to be successful: communication and teamwork, willingness to learn, technology skills, technology skills, technology skills, technology skills, math skills, problem solving, knife and other equipment skills, food safety knowledge, product knowledge, self-motivation, time management. These are a list of 10 great things to help you be successful in the restaurant industry. And, the first 5 is applicable to just about every industry you go into. Communication and teamwork, willingness to learn, technology, math, problem solving. That's something you can take anywhere. You learn those in the hospitality, travel, restaurant industry that cross-pollinate into any and everything that you do. Okay? And then, how can I start my career? Man, go put in some applications, right? Make some connections. If you just happen to know a chef, ask, do they know anybody that has a place or a position for you to go into? Talk to your local people that are there in your city, right? And this is an incredible place to start, like I said, to get great information and be able to do that. Some of the things to choose in your career: search for a job, put in an application, take the interview, follow up, right? It is that simple. Then, finally, when you decide on what you want to do with your career path, this one is critically important because the chef that normally teaches this class is an educator in high school. Make a tough decision on whether you need to go to college or trade school, right? If you need to, but college or trade school, because there is a huge difference. Most of the time, trade schools are shorter programs that are very specific to what it is that you want to do. Where college is usually your 2 to 4 year degrees, that is not necessarily broad, but you don't get into the bulk of your chosen field until you get to your junior and senior years, right? And so here's some of the questions you want to answer. Does the school offer a program that meets your needs? Is there a required entrance exam? Does the school offer evening classes? You might be somebody that has to work during the day. What is the cost? Financial aid is available, etc. So again, you can find this in Google Classroom. And you can also take a screenshot here so that you can have for it. So when you're thinking about your career, because I know some of y'all don't want to go into the food industry, and many of y'all want to go into different industries, but what you want to do is, if you are going to college or trade school for your particular career or entrepreneurial path, these are some of the questions that you need to ask before you get into deep. All right. So, boom. Let me check. Yep, still recording, which is great. And why is my Zoom not coming back up? I hope I didn't close everybody out. Boom. There we go. Excellent. So, with that being said, we have concluded restaurant and operations class here. How is anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns before we hop into the Mentimeter? Because remember, tonight we have 2 Mentimeters. We have the one Mentimeter from Professor Rosie's class, and then we have the Mentimeter for this particular class And then the final one will have the evaluations. I think that may be combined to do both. So if you don't have any questions or comments or concerns, give me a thumbs up. If you're not in, if you're not in the, if your camera is not on the screen, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Appreciate my screen people. Fantastic. Excellent. So we're gonna do this first Mentimeter. Rosa, you want to facilitate this Mentimeter?
Yeah, just to let you guys know, the Mentimeter is what's combined. We need to find the survey or the assessment from Tuesday. I don't think I think that's the one we're missing.
Oh, the assessment from Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, so while we look for this assessment from travel and tourism class, if you guys would click on the course evaluation doc that's in there for this class, then I'm gonna find the one for the class on Tuesday for you guys to fill out as well.
Right, and then just let me know when you guys are done, and I can do the Mentimeter.
Yeah. When you finish the course evaluation that's currently in the chat, put a 1 in the chat.
You can't submit it.
It won't let us hit submit. I don't think it's the right link.
Go.
Oh no.
Oh. Put it back in the microwave.
You know what? It won't let me sign in either. Hilarious.
I just copied and pasted what you sent in the chat, the shared form.
Yep, and I clicked on it myself.
It's asking for me to request edit access.
Yeah, it says.
All right. I don't know what the form is not doing that.
I submitted it, like there was a thing that said like copy like responder link, and then you copy the link like at the top.
Into a different
And then,
browser.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been it's almost like a new thing that they're requiring. So you actually have to go in, click on that, what Ashley is saying on the top right-hand side. It's gonna say, do you want to copy to respond or something? And then you copy that link, and it takes you to a different browser, and then it opens up as an editable document, which is weird. But my daughter's school it's been doing the same thing, any of the documents, because they use Google Drive as well, Google Classroom.
You know, when did they do that update though? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, but we just started doing it with her school, so I'm not sure if that's just specific to them, or it sounds like it might be classroom wide. Yeah, so you're not going to submit because it's not editable. So do you guys see at the top right hand side where it allows you to click that? There's like a link or something there that tells you to click it to I can't remember the verbiage. What did you say it said, Ashley? Click it to submit, or click
It said like copy responder link or something like that.
So once you click that link or copy it and put it into a different browser, then it becomes editable. It's weird. I don't know why they do that. You're not.
It wasn't doing that before, and now
I see a few are done. So apparently they got it right. Okay, so we're getting some D's in the chat. All right, there we go.
All right, so if you were getting it, huh?
Yeah. We got an S and a D. All right. Looks like we lost somebody. All right, don't drop off just yet, you guys. We still have the Mentimeter, and I believe we still have the other survey. Chef Dre is going to put in the chat. You want us to wait for the other survey, Dre, or move
No,
forward?
you can go ahead and start the Mentimeter. Go ahead and start the Mentimeter, and I'll pull up this other survey.
All right. Well, give me 1 second. Let me pull up. Okay, oops. Hold on. Sorry. Supposed to share. Let me share first. Okay, can everybody see? Looks like we got 15 participants already. All right. Is everyone ready? All right, here we go. Okay, so we're going to start with travel and tourism, and this is going to cover some of the concepts and information that you learned from Tuesday's class. Here we go. All right, question 1 of 15. We have 12 players. Right. Here we go. What is the primary motivation for most leisure travel? Business meetings, relaxation and recreation, education, pilgrimage. All right, we got relaxation and recreation. Good job. Like some said meetings. Okay, so you're primary motivated by meetings. Okay. Let's see. All right, we got 13 players now. All right. Get some numbers on the scoreboard here. What are some key factors that influence travel decisions? Cost, destination, attractiveness, and personal interests. Weather. All right. Yes. Great job, everybody. Okay. Here we go. Oops. Sorry, this takes forever. What is ecotourism? Travel that focuses on luxury accommodations, travel that has minimal negative impact on the environment, travel that is exclusively for educational purposes, travel that involves extreme sports. Shh. Good job. All right. We're up to 14 players now. Okay. Here we go. Answer quickly to get more points. What are some of the negative impacts of mass tourism on destinations? Environmental damage, overcrowding and cultural erosion, increased economic growth for the destination, improved infrastructure, reduced crime rates. Yes, let's go. Negative impact. Remember, keywords, negative impact. Good job, everybody. Well, I feel good. I feel like y'all was listening. What is the role of travel agents in the tourism industry? To provide expert advice and assistance to travelers, to solely book flights and accommodations, to discourage independent travel, to primarily focus on selling package tours. The role of a travel agent. Great job. Yes, to provide expert advice and assistance to travelers. Awesome. All right, almost there. What is the importance of sustainable tourism practices? Yes. To protect the environment and support local communities, to increase tourism revenue, to attract more tourists, to standardize travel experiences. Good job, everybody. Wow. Loving it. All right. What is adventure tourism? Travel that involves physically demanding activities, travel that is focused on relaxation and leisure, travel that is limited to specific age group, travel that is primarily for educational purposes. Uh-oh. Wow. Okay. So it was correct. 1, travel that involves physically demanding activities. So we got 7 to 6. Ooh, that was a tough one, huh? Remember, relaxation and leisure. That's leisure travel. All right, so we're on to restaurant and operations and careers. Good job, guys. Here we go. All right, which of the following is not a typical responsibility of a restaurant manager? Hiring and training staff, creating the menu, overseeing daily operations, managing the restaurant budget. Good job. Good job. All right. Yes, creating the menu. Great job, scholars. All right. Almost there. Almost there. What is the primary role of a yeah, that word in a restaurant?
Sommelier.
Sommelier. There you go. Oh, I wasn't getting ready to butcher that. To cook the food, to greet and seat the guests, to manage the wine cellar, to clean and maintain the dining area. Okay. Hey, listen, learn me something new
I
today.
gave a whole talk on the sommelier and wine. Oh my God, I'm ineffective.
Well, you got boy that got it right then wrong, so that's progress. All right, here we go. What is the importance of food cost percentage in restaurant operations? It helps to determine the profitability of menu items. It is irrelevant to restaurant profitability. It only applies to high-end restaurants. It is solely determined by the cost of ingredients. Good job. Good job, everybody. Yes, loving it. All right, a few more to go. All right, what is the significance of customer feedback in restaurant operations? To avoid negative online reviews, to justify price increases, to identify areas of improvement and enhance the experience, to comply with legal requirements. We talked about this in both classes. Y'all better get this right. Yes, I'll take the 12, but number one, we got to talk. All right. Maybe you weren't here that class, but you were certainly here today. Okay, what is the importance of proper sanitation and hygiene in a restaurant? To prevent the spread of foodborne illnesses, to maintain a clean and presentable appearance, to comply with local regulations, all of the above. Yes, 10, all of the above. Number 4, all of the above. Those 3, let's talk. All right, 13 out of 15, almost there. 2 more. All right, what are some common challenges faced by the restaurant industry? High employee turnover, rising food costs and increased competition, lack of customer interest, excessive government regulation, difficulty finding skilled labor. Ooh, this is a tough one. Whoa, good job. That was a tough one. For me, anyway. I'd say the first and the last one would have been the tie. Good job, everybody. What is the importance of teamwork in a restaurant setting? To ensure efficient and smooth operations, to minimize customer interaction, to reduce labor costs, to avoid conflict among staff. Yes, number 1, to ensure efficient and smooth operations. Great job, everybody. 15, we are here. Last question. How can technology be used to improve restaurant operations? By eliminating the need for human interaction, by increasing costs for customers through online ordering platforms, point of sale systems, and customer relation management, by limiting menu options. Great job, everybody. All right. And the winner is, here we go, tallying it up. Michaela yes, Michaela for the win. Good job, Michaela. Woo!
Go, Michaela. Burr, burr,
Good job,
burr, burr, burr,
Michaela.
burr.
Thank
Burr,
you.
burr, burr. Round of applause for Michaela. Good job. Yes, I feel like a proud mama right now. Y'all did really well. Good job. Back to you, Chef.
How about I go off mute? There is the travel and tourism evaluation in the chat. If you'll click on it and fill that out. Once you do that, put a 1 in the chat, or actually put a D in the chat, and then you guys are free to go for the evening. Make sure you review the information for your end of course, and you'll get an email for all the ingredients for next week. Thank you, guys. You've been fantastic.
Awesome job tonight, everybody. Don't forget to
Appreciate you,
vote.
Ashley, Janelle,
Yes.
Nadia, Karen.
Bye.
Have a good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.
Don't forget to fill out the survey. It's the second one in the chat.
Yep. Put a D for done.
I have a quick question.
To me.
Also, I'm sorry if you hear my dogs barking in the back. Where's the are you gonna is the thing for the ingredients thing, is that gonna be emailed or is that in the chat somewhere?
No, it'll be emailed because it's for the next class on Tuesday. So when
Mhm.
Diana puts that email together, the list of ingredients will be included in that, and it's also on the Google Classroom for that particular class. So it's culinary basics. So if you want to get ahead, you should already have access to that folder with Google Classroom, and the list of the ingredients are already there if you want to get them over the weekend.
All right.
And it's also in the workbook. I'm going to make sure that you guys receive the workbook because it is in there for this class too.
And yeah, my apologies. I thought the workbook, I didn't know the workbook had been broken up into 3 parts. I thought it was one, because it was digital. So I was thinking it was one complete workbook. And I figured they were going through it. So
Yeah,
that
no,
would be
separate.
me and Chassis, because we both were under the same thing. They just got the one workbook at the beginning and they just keep working through it. So,
Yeah, and I was under the assumption that it was in the emails, and then I was like, I don't hear anybody talking about this workbook. Let me see if if they ever got it. All right, so we'll stop this recording.